Well, I mean, if you want to talk about bullies, we can talk about every time Caitlin has the ball, she pushes off.
Oh, no.
I'm just saying.
Sheryl Swoopes just said, what about Caitlin Clark? The basketball world is losing it over these comments. Is this old school versus new school drama or something deeper? Let's break it down. So here's what happened. Swoopes went on the Gills Arena podcast and dropped a bomb. She straight up said Clark won't dominate in the WNBA like she does in college. Can you believe that? Swoopes thinks Clark's game won't translate to the pros. That's a bold claim about the hottest player in women's basketball right now. And you know what? People are freaking out. Fans, commentators, everyone's talking about it. Some are defending Clark. Others are calling Swoopes jealous. It's like the whole basketball world just exploded. But here's the real question. Is this just some old school player hating on the new generation? Or is there something more to what Swoopes is saying? We're about to unpack this mess, and trust me, it gets even crazier. Let's talk about Clark's game. You think you know what domination looks like?
You're going to break a record. To me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it. If Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years.
Clark's college performance is shattering expectations. But here's the kicker. Some say it won't translate to the pros. Are we witnessing a once-in-a-generation talent, or is this just a college-level phenomenon? Caitlin Clark is lighting up the court like nobody's business. We're talking 19.5 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 8.4 assists per game. That's not just good, that's ridiculous. These aren't just numbers, they're a statement. Clark isn't just playing the game, she's rewriting it. Picture this. Clark's on the court, ball in hand. She's got that look in her eye, the one that says, I'm about to do something you've never seen before. And then she does it. A no-look pass that threads the needle between two defenders. A three-pointer from way downtown that swishes through the net like it's got GPS. This isn't just basketball, it's art. But here's where it gets wild. Swoopes, yeah, the same Swoopes who's in the Hall of Fame, says Clark isn't dominating. Can you believe that? She's watching the same games we are, right? Clark's breaking records left and right, making the kind of plays that make you rewind your TV just to make sure you saw what you thought you saw. Now let's talk about that NCAA scoring record. Clark's got a shot at it, and that's got people talking. Some say it's because of the extra year from COVID-19. But come on, are we really going to put an asterisk next to her name?
But because there's a COVID year, and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record. Yeah, that'll go in the record books as Caitlin Clark is the all-time, whatever it is. I don't even know what the number is.
Clark's out there balling every single game, COVID year or not. You want to know what's really crazy? Clark's not just scoring. She's dishing out assists like a point guard on steroids. She's broken the league's all-time single-season assists record. That's not just good for a scorer. That's unheard of for anyone. People are comparing her to Steph Curry. Yeah, that's Steph Curry, the guy who changed how we think about three-pointers in the NBA. That's the kind of impact Clark's having on women's basketball. She's not just playing the game, she's changing it. But here's where Swoopes throws another curveball. She says, and I quote, "Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen." Ouch. That's like telling LeBron he couldn't hang in the NBA when he was coming out of high school. So here's the million-dollar question. If what Clark's doing isn't domination, what is? Are we setting the bar so high that even breaking records and changing the game isn't enough? Or is Swoopes seeing something we're not? You know what's wild? This isn't just about Clark anymore. This is about how we see women's basketball. It's about the old school clashing with the new school. It's about expectations and reality colliding head-on.
She's a senior, but I think her COVID year was last year.
Fans are losing their minds over this. They're defending Clark like she's their own sister. They're calling out Swoopes, saying she's just jealous. It's like the whole basketball world is choosing sides. But here's the thing, Clark's letting her game do the talking. While everyone's arguing about whether she's dominating or not, she's out there breaking records, making highlight reels, and changing the game. You'd think Swoopes would back down after all the backlash, right? Wrong. She's doubled down, and this time, she's hinting at something that could change everything for Clark and the Indiana Fever. The locker room might not be as united as we thought. Remember when Swoopes said Clark wasn't dominating? That was just the appetizer. She's back with the main course and it's spicy. Swoopes is now suggesting there might be trouble brewing in the Indiana Fever locker room. Yeah, you heard that right. She's implying some players might not be too happy about Clark joining the team. Now, here's the kicker. Swoopes didn't bring any receipts. No concrete evidence, no names, just a vague hint that something's off. Is she stirring the pot, or does she know something we don't? Either way, it's got people talking. But wait, it gets crazier. Swoopes went on the Gills Arena podcast and doubled down on her claim that Clark isn't dominating the WNBA. This is despite Clark putting up rookie numbers that would make most veterans jealous. It's like Swoopes is watching a different game than the rest of— And you know what happens when you throw shade at the new golden girl of basketball? The fans come for you. People are calling Swoopes out left and right. They're saying she's jealous, she's out of touch, she's just plain wrong. It's like the whole basketball world is taking sides in this Clark versus Swoopes showdown. But here's where it gets really interesting. Nancy Lieberman, another basketball legend, steps into the ring. She replaces Swoopes on a broadcast and uses the opportunity to shower Clark with praise. It's like she's saying, "This is how you support the next generation, Sheryl." Lieberman didn't pull any punches. She basically said we should be celebrating players like Clark, not tearing them down. It's turned into a full-on feud between two basketball icons. Lieberman in Clark's corner, Swoopes, well, in her own corner. Now, let's talk about what this means for Swoopes. She's a Hall of Famer, a legend in her own right. But people are starting to wonder if these comments might tarnish her legacy. Is she risking her reputation by going after Clark like this? Think about it. Swoopes was a trailblazer, one of the greatest to ever do it. But now, instead of talking about her incredible career, we're talking about her beef with a rookie. Is this how she wants to be remembered? Some are calling this whole thing a sad saga. They're saying Swoopes' inability to objectively support Clark is overshadowing everything she's accomplished. It's like watching your favorite superhero turn into the villain. You know what's wild? This Swoopes-Clark drama isn't just about two players. It's like we're watching the entire landscape of women's basketball shift right before our eyes. And let me tell you, it's exciting stuff. Think about it. Clark's rise isn't just about one player crushing it on the court. It's a sign that women's basketball is growing, evolving, and getting more attention than ever before. People are comparing her to Steph Curry. That's not just a compliment. It's a sign that women's basketball is pushing into the mainstream in a big way. But here's where it gets really interesting. This clash between Swoopes and Clark, it's like watching the old guard meet the new school head-on. You've got legends like Swoopes who paved the way, and now you've got rising stars like Clark who are taking the game to new heights. It's not always pretty, but it's a sign that the sport is changing. And you know what? This debate, as heated as it is, might actually be good for women's basketball. I know, crazy, right? But think about it. More people are talking about the sport. More fans are tuning in. More media coverage. That could lead to more opportunities for players down the line. It's like the sport is going through growing pains. You've got the established stars feeling threatened, the new players making waves, and everyone's got an opinion. But that's what happens when a sport starts to really take off. Remember when Swoopes said Clark wouldn't dominate in the WNBA like she does in college? That sparked a whole conversation about what success looks like in women's basketball. People are debating, arguing, getting fired up. And you know what? That's exactly what happens in major sports. It's a sign that women's basketball is becoming a bigger deal. Clark's ability to handle all this criticism and still ball out, that's next level stuff. She's not just changing the game on the court, she's changing how players deal with pressure off the court too. It's like women's basketball is entering a new era where personality clashes and media drama are part of the package. And here's something wild to think about. Could this controversy actually be a good thing? I mean, when's the last time you saw this much engagement around women's basketball? People are invested, they're picking sides, they're passionate. That's the kind of energy that can take a sport to the next level. It's not just about Swoopes and Clark anymore. It's about the future of women's basketball. How will the next generation of players build on what legends like Swoopes started? How will they handle the increased attention and pressure? These are the questions that are shaping the future of the sport. And let's be real, this kind of generational clash, it's a sign that women's basketball is maturing. It's not just a niche sport anymore. It's got drama, storylines, and personalities big enough to capture the nation's attention. That's huge. All right. Let's wrap this up. The Swoopes-Clark drama, it's more than just two players butting heads. It's a sign that women's basketball is evolving, big time. We've got legends like Swoopes who paved the way, and now we've got Clark and others taking the game to new heights. This clash, it's got people talking, arguing, and getting fired up about women's basketball. And you know what? That's exactly what happens in major sports. It's a good thing, believe it or not. But here's the real question. How do we keep this momentum going? As fans, we've got a role to play. We can support both the legends and the rising stars. We can show up to games, watch them on TV, and talk about them on social media. So, what are you gonna do to keep women's basketball growing? The ball's in your court now.